All right. Hey, Vinod, welcome. Guys, welcome to Freewheeling Fridays. I know we've taken a sabbatical, I think, for a couple of weeks, right? Did we go offline for a couple of weeks, Vinod?
Yeah, I think so, Karthik.
Yeah.
We have
Yeah,
gone
yeah. So,
offline.
I am partly to blame. I was traveling last week and we're back this week. So much to talk about today. There's so much news, but we also have a special guest joining us today. Um, I'm going to let Vinod do the personal introduction because he can provide a little bit of personal background as well. He's a personal friend of the guest. But having said that, we've done investments with this gentleman's fund in the past. Thank you so much for that. We really enjoyed working with you guys, and hopefully continue working with you guys in the future as well. And Today, there's fantastic news that came out about the next fund. So without any further ado, I'll introduce the fund. You can introduce the gentleman about that. So the fund is Specially Invest, which is a deep tech fund. They've invested in some of the very well-known deep tech companies in the Indian startup ecosystem, including Agnico, Wingman, E-Plane Company, and so on and so forth, right? So really excited to have the one of the MDs, one of the partners of Speciali here. But the big news is that Speciali has just announced that they've raised their second fund of 140 crores, which is what, three times the size of the first fund? I think it's three times the size of the first fund, or maybe more than that. So that's fantastic development. So Vinod, over to you.
Hey, thanks, Karthik. I hope you can hear me fine. I'm assuming.
Yes, yes, we can hear you, Vinod. We cannot see you very well, but we can hear you nonetheless.
Okay, got it. Thanks, Karthik. Thanks for that. And I think this is a very interesting freewheeling session, and really freewheeling simply because the guest also I just freewheeled literally. So, and Arjun's a great friend, as you said, right? I think Karthik, you should put Arjun on the screen. Arjun,
Welcome, Arjun. Welcome to
thank you for
Freewheeling
joining
Fridays.
us.
Hey guys, Karthik, thank you for having
Arjun,
me.
we can't hear you.
Can you hear me? Am I audible?
Yeah, we can hear you, Arjun. Yes.
Hey guys, Karthik, thank you for having me. And truly freewheeling. Luckily, I got some free time, and just ping me.
Yeah,
and
absolutely. Yeah. Arjun,
got a few
great to
minutes.
have
So
you.
lovely to be here.
Arjun, great to have you. Congratulations on the new fund. It is always great to see. Firstly, somebody doing deep tech and doing a second fund. And I personally, right, I would say, I think all of us, including Karthik, we look up to you guys in some sense. And you kind of set the path for a lot of us. You and Vishesh, right, with Speciali. I think I kind of look forward. I tell this very shamelessly. I've told this to you, Vishesh, multiple times, and that's what I want to tell the audience also. Look, there are some people who kind of trailblaze, and in deep tech, right, it's been Chalet for a long time, the last half a decade that you guys have been investing. And we are absolutely excited, because we know that, we love working with people who kind of share that worldview of the technology will change the world. And both of you from Specially, and Specially shares that gene that, the technology can change the world. I'm absolutely excited and great to see this. Congrats to your team. Congrats to Vishesh. And great to have you here, Vishesh.
Hey, so nice of you. Very very kind introduction, right? And thank you so much for such a nice introduction and so many kind words that you're saying. Sure, we don't deserve all of that, right? We're just trying to do what we do, and we've of course interacted. We know each other personally for a few years now, and we work together now, couple of deals, and hopefully do more. Right? I think in general it's an exciting time, right, for all of us, right? To be doing what we're doing, to have this worldview that you're saying, and it's almost seems like a no-brainer that technology is going to change the world at so many levels, right? And we're just humbled and we're just thankful to get this opportunity to work with so many amazing entrepreneurs, right? And of course, partners like yourself, right? I think the second fund announcement today is just a incremental validation slash boost for us, right? That mostly and like most likely we are on the right track, right? And these things will play out to be really exciting and really big over the next half a decade and beyond, right? So look forward to doing more stuff with Java, right? Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely,
Hey, Arjun,
absolutely.
thank you so much. I just want to put up some of the portfolio companies that you guys have invested in the past, right? For uninformed, who is looking at it. One of the pioneering funds in the deep tech space, right? I mean, you had like investments in Agnico, like I said, E-Plane company before, Kava Space. Quite a lineup of really now well-known sort of deep tech companies, right? So do you want to just give us a few lines on how you guys started thinking about going after deep tech? Also give us a sense about the first fund, Arjun. When did you launch it? 2018, I think, is when you announced the fund. But I'm sure a lot of groundwork would have gone before that, right? So just paint
Yeah,
us a picture. What happened?
sure. Happy to do that. Hey, Bhargavi, good to see you as well. And I
Hi, yeah,
have
thanks
to
a
say,
lot for joining. And
no, pleasure is all
congratulations
mine.
again.
Thank you so much. Pleasure is all mine. I must say, Bhargavi was the one I connected to first, and through Bhargavi, then I met Vinod probably 4 years ago, ballpark.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah, yeah,
I think
yeah.
the association
Yeah,
has only gotten stronger. So shout out for that, Bhargavi. Thank you. And
Yeah.
yeah, Karthik, to your point and question, I'll throw some light on the background. Uh, the first fund, while you're right, kind of formally got fully announced and was in full motion in 2018. The groundwork was getting laid through 2016, right? Which is when Vishesh and I formally decided that we would start a fund. Me and him have a long history, right? We're classmates from business school 15 years ago, right? Backgrounds kind of divergent. He's a finance guy through and through, went to investing after business school and joined venture capital very early and spent a decade plus already in 2015 or 2016 at the time. And I was on the operating side. I'm a tech product guy by background, but I've always been in the early stage, right? So we were good friends. We stayed in touch. We would maybe sometimes catch up for a regular drink. And when he used to come down from Chennai to Bangalore for portfolio company meetings, I used to be working, right? And we would just jam on a few things, right? What's happening, what he was seeing, what was exciting to his mind about the future, what technology was happening. Right? So we would jam a little bit. And then somewhere along the way, we also started doing angel investments together, right? Which actually is like the genesis and the background to Speciale today, right? We work together. We both of us, because of having been in the ecosystem for a fair few years, were getting interesting founders reach out to us in the very early stage for advice, for guidance, and sometimes for some capital as well, right? And that's how it basically started. We were running what syndicates, but that's what we were doing. We were putting in some of our own capital, pulling in some capital through friends and family networks that we had, right? And helping, we were doing as small checks as 25 lakh rupees going up to a couple of crores. And I think Vishesh started even before I did. And then I also started contributing because of my operating background, my own startup background, being an entrepreneur before this, right? I think 14, 15, 16, we probably did about, I think, 10 companies, right? Informally syndicate, just me and him on the side, right? Both having our day jobs, my entrepreneurial stint, Vishesh being in Venturies, so on and so forth, right? And some of those, just forged our relationship stronger while we were classmates, but it just told, we got to know each other better in terms of DNA, ambition, mission, right? Commonality, which I think is very important for the long haul, right? And we also learned, of course, what was working, what was not working. We got lucky in a few cases. We made some exits, right? that was helpful, of course, right? And that's how we came together in 16 to start the fund. We said, done it a little bit, maybe we can do this formally. We were lucky to get a few anchor LPs to support us in that cause, and it started, to be honest, very, very small, right? And to be, of course, if you look at the ecosystem, even today, it's quite small, right? Fund size, but it was generally super, super small when we started. We started with as little as 20 crores, right? And we said, let's just run with it. We'll figure it out, because we just had this shared DNA and passion around two primary things, right? Number one, super early stage entrepreneurs need a certain type of help support system, right? That was not always available in our view, right? So roll up our sleeves, really work closely with entrepreneurs, maybe even during the time of idea iteration and evolution sometimes, right? And then finally putting together the team, capital requirement, the business plan, right? And then execution. Somewhere along the way, because we did these angel investments and we were almost working as friends and partners to some of these entrepreneurs, we thought that style was ideal, right? And we felt that there was a need for that, right? There were angels that were doing that, but early stage funds were probably not as many doing that, right? So we were very comfortable doing that. Our own backgrounds was purely 0 to 1, right? And that is where our excitement and our interest and our enjoyment on a daily basis came from. So that was the first common point of overlap of DNA. The second point was this thing about, which we know already mentioned, and you also touched upon what the portfolio is today starting to look like, is genuinely how does technology disrupt the world and how does it take the world forward in some sense, right? And how can we bring that mindset to Indian entrepreneurial ecosystem, right? And do we think there's an opportunity to build something like that out of here as well, right? Both of us, through our lives and through some associations and networks, had closely seen the Silicon Valley ecosystem and the Israeli startup tech ecosystem, right? Both of which I'm sure we all know here are kind of like the holy grail of really cutting edge technology and innovation, right? For different reasons, different combinations, right? Both Israel and the US, particularly the Silicon Valley, really strong flavors of what the future is going to look like, right? So we had some flavors. Me, thanks to my early job at Yahoo, I have some friends through and through, and I've always stayed in touch with that ecosystem. Silicon Valley, Vishesh had some strong networks in Israel, right? So when we used to talk, we were not necessarily talking too much about, Flipkart, Paytm, Ola, etc. While of course we knew what was happening and we were here, etc. I myself built a consumer business in the past in India, right? But we were what was happening in Silicon Valley, what was happening in Israel, and what was genuinely cutting edge technology, right? So that's where our overlap was, and we were saying, why shouldn't some of this be possible out of here, right? What does it need? And that's where our commonality came. We said it needs talent, first of all, right? People with the right skill sets, entrepreneurs wanting to take that risk and solve really hard problems. Ideas and that ecosystem around it to solve for these problems, to build a team, to find customers, to answers, and then finally capital also, right? So we thought we could bring in the capital part and some of our learnings from some of these ecosystems. And we were noticing and observing, maybe through some of our angel investments, that there was talent. There was clearly talent in India available, right, for really hard problems to be solved in various sectors. Not all sectors were as mature as some of the others, but they were definitely kicking on, right? And there was history of certain types of talent in certain specific areas, right? So it just made sense in our mind, even in our angel investments, while we got success from some of the consumer things that we also did, right? But we saw that wherever there was a disproportionate quotient of IP, innovation, and technology in the product or in the business, there were better outcomes. There was, even if product market fit did not happen or the market did not adopt the business, there was some softer landings available. There were other possible outcomes for startups, right? Could call them small acquisitions, acqui hires, right? IP transfer. So that also was some part of the same. there is some downside protection here, right? In some ways, right, while we're taking moonshot bets, we're also looking for, is there some cushion somewhere?
Yeah, true, Arjun. Arjun, if you have to, Arjun. That's great, Arjun. So, Arjun, just to jump right with your new fund, right? How different is this going to be, or are you going to chase some new areas, or is it the same areas? What would you tell the world that what are you going to do this time around? Now you have a larger corpus. What should the founders look forward from you?
No, I think interesting question. First of all, the larger corpus gives us some breathing room, right? But what we are thinking and how we have thought about this particular fund is to first of all move very far away from our core thesis, right? So stage remains the same. Entry point pretty much remains the same, right? Which is pre-seed, seed for us, 300K to 500K check sizes, which is when we will enter a company as early as we possibly can at the POC stage and support them from there. Deep tech continues to stay the flavor. Now, what deep tech means in our parlance and in our definition personally for us is two things. Of course, it can still be broader than that and different for different people, but one is software, and in software there's enterprise software, and as we call it, and even in those we will look for differentiated tech at the center of it, right? And examples in the first fund, Karthik already mentioned, there's Wingman, right? We had Scapic in the AR VR segment, we have a company called Material, we have TrueLark on AI and all of that, right? So software, one theme continues. On the hardware, or what we call frontier technology, in which so far we have done space technology, we have done robotics, we have done electric airplanes along with you guys, right? Continue to stay interesting, but those in frontier tech, I think there are so many other sectors which are yet to be, right? So there is climate tech, which recently, I think I would say over the last 1 year, we have spent fair bit of time trying to understand and learn about, right? So there is carbon capture, there is hydrogen fuel cells, right? We have some background in renewable energy by doing EV, right? And battery tech in the past, but I think there's a lot more variation of doing climate tech going forward. So I think that's going to be an interesting theme that we're going to double down on and spend more time on. Hopefully, do some deals in that flavor, right? Other interesting things that we have spent time on and philosophically we align with in our mind is, for example, food, right? Alternative foods, proteins, meats. Again, globally, we've seen a proliferation of startups doing very interesting things and grown very fast, raised capital, scaled up, even in terms of revenue and, of course, in terms of valuations. But again, food is very core to, even the Indian market as well as for the global market. And there's substantial innovation IP that's possibly to be done in terms of proteins and lab-based meat, alternative foods to be created, right? Maybe associated areas that you could look at is, is biotech extension, right? And we'll have to see. We'll have to learn a few more, but the food and alternative foods part is very exciting. Another area that very nascent, very early, just started to spend some time is to say, within climate tech, clean air, clean water, right? Newer approaches and scientific ways of creating clean air and clean water, right? It could be filtration, it could be newer sources, it could be certain types of interesting scientific approaches, which can hopefully be commercialized in the next few years, something that we're trying to learn a little more about, right?
Awesome.
Tech in general, I think it's just a vast universe. Anything that we can think that can make the world a better place, a more sustainable place, right, comes into that gamut. Of course, space tech continues to be exciting for us. EV, air vehicles, ground vehicles, very interesting things happening on various fronts.
So this is awesome. Yeah, it's exciting.
Great.
Definitely. Yeah.
Arjun, so when you talk about these very diverse areas within deep tech and frontier tech, right? So one other thing which you mentioned is how do you work very closely with founders. So I have always wondered how do you pick up these different capabilities, and how are some of the ways you add value to founders coming from these very, very diverse sectors?
No, I think that's a great question. And we are also learning along the way. First of all, I think what becomes imperative when we do deals in these new areas and we want to do deals in the new area is to spend substantial time really, at least from a first principles basis, trying to understand what's the problem and what is the global landscape in that. Right? And we just take a very plain, simple first principles approach, learn like we are just learning for the first time, because we are not experts, we are not PhDs in any of these areas, right? And we cannot even fathom to become experts very quickly in these. So we try to work with the entrepreneurs and ask them questions from a very first principles perspective, and ask them what problem are they solving, how hard is it, right? If the solution works, then what is the impact it can create, or which particular sectors of the market and industry, and maybe then try to put some sort of a dollar value to that, which says it's a large market or not, right? So that's our learning process. And that happens both from talking to as many entrepreneurs in this domain as possible, as well as, of course, doing our secondary and tertiary research, through reading and listening to as many things as possible out there. Right? Now, once we have this fundamental thing, at the end of the day, the technology is not place where we are going to help them, right? Because we are hoping that the founders come with that background and that expertise. So what can we help them with? I think most of these entrepreneurs we observe are tech heavy, maybe less business ready, right? So for us to put our experience hat on and bring in that framework of how this technology, how this science can evolve, how can this be broken down into multiple milestones, business milestones, and risk mitigation milestones, right? Because a lot of these companies take a while to get commercialized and revenue positive, right? And therefore, for us to put a framework around something that say, while you're still building the product, what are all the risks that this company carries, that this technology carries, that this market carries, that this team carries, right? And obviously, there is some capital risk associated, there is some technology. We try to, first of all, identify what are the risks. And if we know the risks, then we can start thinking about interesting, different, and creative ways of killing risk. Right? For example, to say you're still building some very nascent technology, commercialization is 3 years away, 5 years away, 4 years away. Can you break it down into 4 or 5 different milestones over 2 or 3 different years? Right? If you're building a sub-module, right? What is that first sub-module that you build? Is how critical to the whole multiple modules is this sub-module versus sub-module number 2, sub-module number 3, right? And then say, okay, this is broken down. At every stage, every 6 months, you can showcase something, right? In the case of Agnikul, for example, right? On-ground test firing is a very interesting, sub-module risk mitigation, right? It's not yet going to be launched. The real launch and the going to space is going to happen in 2 years. But for the last 2 years, we've seen some subsystems getting built and some ground testing being done. And those are key. So that's the technology side of things. At the same time, I'll take the same example and say, if this is a solution you're building, do you have a sense of what price this solution is going to be launched in the market with? Therefore, can you start having customer conversations early with the end customer? Product is not ready does not mean you don't speak to customer.
Yeah.
Even in the most complex of domains, speak to customers sooner rather than later, right? Learn from customer. Are they willing to adopt this when ready? How much are they willing to pay? More, less? Does this need any other regulatory thing to be solved for before the customer can adopt? What else will satisfy them when you are ready with the product and technology? Does this need some other element of service that needs to go along with this, right? So help founders think this through in the early years is very important. And I think we sometimes bring in our expertise as well as our extended networks to be able to give them this guidance and to be able to build this muscle, if I may say so, within the organization, and not just put head down and only build technology and product. Because there's a lot more to build the business, even when you are not yet ready for revenue and commercialization. I think some of these flavors bring to the table, right? Help get close to commercialization, help mitigate risk, at least perception, right? And all of this leads to capital also, right? We are the first check, but they need a lot of capital from future larger funds, right? How can we prepare them better? How can we give them what the investor looks for and cares for when they are investing, so that they go and tell a better story? At the end of the day, nobody tells a story better than the founder, right? So that onus is still on them, but hopefully we can, help them behind the scenes a little bit through our learning, because we work with you, we work with multiple other funds, we learn what everybody's looking for. Ourselves have a fund DNA, so we know matters to investors when they are coming into a organization, into a deal. So hopefully we can share some of those learnings, and maybe that helps tell a better story, right? Yeah, I think it's a challenge. We're also learning along the way. Few early successes we've seen, right? And hopefully we multiply from here.
Great. I think this is one aspect which we have not had a detailed discussion on. So it's good to hear you put it up very nicely. I think Karthik had another question. Karthik, yes, go on.
Arjun, are you good with the time? I said 15 minutes. We are
good. No problem.
Okay. Yeah, Karthik.
And Karthik has been doing a good job of putting up a lot of tidbits there. Good job, Karthik, as usual.
All right. I think I'm on mute. I'm trying to do my best. I'm overperforming today. Okay. But Arjun, this is something that you touched upon earlier, right? But I wanted to delve a little bit deeper into this, because a lot of VC investors, right, tend to typically think, oh, this is deep tech and it's going to take a long time for the gestation of the technology or the technology to mature. So did you ever have those concerns, going into investing in these companies? One. And the second part of the question is, how were you able to convince your LPs, for example, being young managers, the first time fund managers, right? And taking something as monumental as investing in deep tech coming out of India. It's like, this is 4x the difficulty, as it is raising a fund is very, very difficult, right? So tell us a little bit about those two aspects, Arjun.
No, I think both great questions. And, the first part which you're talking about is how do we not worry about the time frame, right? I think we emphasize on understanding, again, I'll go back to the previous point and say understanding the risk, right? And if there is a period when revenue is not going to come, for us to understand what is happening in that period and build comfort and conviction, and then go into it. I think the time frame is not something that bothers us too much. We are patient investors, right? The nature, if you look at history of venture capital, this is the nature of bets. I think venture capital started for, right? Of course, it's evolved and it should evolve, right? But if you look in the Silicon Valley 50 years ago, we would find that these complex things is what venture capital was originated for as a concept, as an asset class, right? So we do believe that particularly getting in early, the 8 to 10 year fund cycle that we operate with should be sufficient to start off companies, to build key technologies and products and take it to the market and get to some degree of validation and momentum and growth, right? I think that's a fair bit of time available to us in our. Yes, what one can question is whether, do we start getting jittery in 2 years or 3 years or 4 years? But I think that's where the deeper we go into the domain and the technology and learn through our research as well as talking to entrepreneurs over why does it take so much time, when will they be ready to go to customers, and in the interim also keep talking to customers and learn from them that they are waiting, but things are moving forward. At the end of the day, all we need to understand is progress is being made, right? Different sorts of risks get mitigated at different points in time, and that translates in our view to value creation. Every risk reduced is increased value of the entity, right? So as long as we are aware of that entire, trajectory, right, and we are confident that the trajectory is for the right reasons, right, then we are, I think, okay. And it has taught us it doesn't come organically. I think we've learned, we have done a few of these deals, Angel as well as now, and each of these companies teach us something new, right? And teach us what happens in 1 year, what happens in 1.5 years. How do we translate that to the outer world? How do you showcase this to say this is what we have built, but there's still zero revenue, right? So it's important. I think multiple different companies have taught us a fair bit. Now, I think that discomfort is definitely not there in time consumption for revenue. This thing. That's the first part of your question. Hopefully, that covers a fair bit.
You did, Arjun. Yes.
Right. The second part is the LP part. Right. Again, I will take it in two parts. One, which is probably very specific to us, and we're definitely very lucky and privileged that the set of LPs that we have so far, majority of them, first of all, they've been with us even before we started the fund. They were part of those angel syndicates, right, that we used to run, and they supported us at that time. They've seen us operate, right, and therefore there's a lot of trust that they have put on us, and therefore give us a really long rope and a lot of flexibility in our approach to how we run the fund, decisions we take, and the kind of decisions we take, right? So we're lucky to have LPs that kind of share that vision and that long view towards genuine disruption and innovation takes time. And it needs patience from everybody involved. Entrepreneurs, GPs, LPs, ecosystem, all the same, right? I think we're lucky on that front, right? Some of them run really large businesses, right? And some of them run businesses where there is hardware, there is CapEx, right? Maybe they also appreciate this, that it takes capital allocation, slowly building of technology, owning of technology, iterating over it before it can be really scaled up and, value creation from a revenue perspective and a final valuation perspective. So I think we're lucky to have them. Second part, I think, which is the onus on us, right? And maybe to share with GPs, as we're all GPs here on this discussion, is to say onus is on us to translate our excitement and learning with the broader LP community, right? What are we learning? How are we learning? What is the background of that? What are we learning through entrepreneurs? What are we learning through reading? What are we observing that is happening in, let's say, the other parts of the world, and that is creating value over longer periods of time? And therefore, this is what we are influenced by, we are motivated by, and this is why the strategy that we are taking merit and makes sense. So I think that is the GP's responsibility, which is continuously having these conversations with LPs, communicating to them in the basic and the most simplest fashion possible. And the more we do that, I think the more they understand us, right? And they can react to it, they can ask us counter questions, they can debate it, they can disagree also sometimes, right? But I think the onus is on us to have them build that confidence that this theory and this thesis and this philosophy is not just built on a whim, but is experience on learning and a lot of continued research and iteration, right? And not just pure passion. It has to be backed up with some data, some anecdotal learning, and some on-ground, real examples. And I think the more successes that come out of it, obviously life will get easier, right?
Right.
Yeah. And we are starting to see the signs of some of that, right? Most of our LPs in the second fund are repeat LPs from the first fund, I would say. And, we've announced this also, it's more than 60% LPs are repeated in the second fund. Not only are they repeated, they've also increased their allocation in this fund, which gives us more confidence. So hopefully we're doing a few things right, but still a long way to go.
Awesome. Yeah, awesome, Vishesh. I think. Sorry, Vishesh, I'm saying Arjun, we
are one of the same. Speaking on behalf.
Morning I made another mistake which Bhargavi wouldn't pardon me. Yeah, I will
It's
tell that to you
okay.
in
We're one and the
private.
same.
Yeah, I mean, thanks, Arjun, for being
I
here.
have one question. I was messaging him before we let him go. This
Oh
is a
God,
year
okay.
of unicorn. This year, do we expect a unicorn from Specially? I was briefly chatting in the morning as well. What do you
Yeah, you
think,
were.
Arjun?
So,
So this
you know,
is
of
this is a
course,
serious question. You demand a serious answer, Arjun, or you should say, wait for tomorrow morning. We'll have one.
I'll tell you what we were joking about. I'll tell you what we were joking about within the organization, within the team, right? Right? Because like, in the last 1 week, I don't know how many unicorns have been announced.
5,
Six.
yeah,
Six.
6.
Correct?
Five,
10 in
five,
the
six,
last
eight.
3 months itself, right? So it's crazy times, right? So in this entire frenzy and this buzz that is happening, somewhere we are announcing a small fund and a launch of a fund and all of that, right? So I think that's the space in the broader ecosystem that deep tech is getting today. It's getting more attention. We're all happy about that, right? You guys are also happy about that. You guys are doing more. We're also happy about that. Maybe if it was if it was getting 1% attention to a couple of years ago, I think it's getting 5% attention today. Correct? So I think there's still some time for us to be patient and get to the unicorn status. I'm sure it's somewhere on the horizon, right? I don't want to make a 2021 prediction, but we have a couple of companies or 2, 3 companies that are really exciting, really doing amazing well, and definitely progressing in the right direction. That's what I'm excited about. Unicorn or not, the direction is right. That's what I think all of us within Speciale and the you guys and the broader deep tech ecosystem, we all should be excited about, right? It's a matter of time. It's as simple as that. It's a matter
Yeah,
of
yeah.
So,
Great.
yeah, Arjun, whenever you've spoken, you said, you've included us also in that conversation. Even today, right, I noticed multiple times. We are grateful, thankful for that. And we
You've been
wish
very kind.
all.
You've been very kind with these words. We are just happy to associate with good people, right? Who kind of share this, similar mindset DNA, right? We know you do other things as well, but we're always, happy to see that when we bring something to you and when we start that conversation, you guys have very, high level of excitement, very quick process of decision making, right? And then obviously very collaborative in how you do things. And that's what else can we ask for to work with when we're working with partners, right? So
Awesome, thank you.
partnership
And
is amazing.
I mean, we want to wish great success on this new fund. Multiples of returns probably on this and the previous fund also. And
Thank you
look
so much.
forward to collaborate with you and Vishesh and your entire team. Excited. You and Vishesh are same for us. Thank you.
Absolutely, that's how it should be. Speciale is one entity, and right. Thank you so much for all the kind words, and absolutely, we look forward to many, many more together. Right?
Yeah, yeah.
Must say this. In such a short span of time, right? What Java has also achieved, and how you guys have created a position for yourself. Absolutely non-trivial. Super excited for you guys, and of course, let's keep doing more stuff together. And all the very best again.
Thanks, Arjun.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much,
Have a good
Arjun.
weekend. Bye bye.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Take care. Bye bye.
Bye, Arjun. Thank you so much. All right, that was a great conversation.
Yeah, Karthik, you should put this up on YouTube. Do a little bit of commenting and all. We could run this. Good.
Yes. We should put it on YouTube, put it on LinkedIn, Twitter, all the channels.
Yeah.
But
Oh,
it would be
man.
something, right? I mean, having a deep tech unicorn coming out of India, I mean, that would be tremendous
It'll give
when
me
that
goosebumps.
happens.
Yeah, Karthik. I think as Arjun says, right. I also think we are probably maybe couple of years away, 2-3 years maybe. But I think we are there. I think that's what is exciting, and it's like a very interesting play. Yeah.
And today he spoke about some of the areas which are very close to my heart. I keep telling you guys as well, right? Water management, waste management, climate.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I should probably message Arjun now more often so that nothing passes our radar.
No, I think he's been talking about these new sectors that they're looking at. They're going frontier in some form, right? as things evolve. What is frontier becomes mainstream after a point in time. Then you go chase what's the next frontier, and that's why it's a frontier in some sense.
Yes,
I mean,
yes,
that's
of
what I
course.
kind of sense. That's what I sensed, when you mentioned about hydrogen fuel, EV, battery, and all those, right? Are like waves which are coming next, quantum cryptography or computing, all these, right? In some sense, yeah. Great, and we have our usual suspect also commenting, saying, "What's up, guys?"
Vinam, did you watch Rahul Dravid's ad? What's your view?
Oh God, I thought you would ask me.
Very
You
excited
watched
about the ad.
Arjun Raw's conversation. You're asking Rahul Dravid's ad. Chat, Mark.
But Vinam, did you hear the conversation with Arjun?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
you're there. Okay.
What happened? I was multiplexing. Is that what you observed?
No. I'm asking Vinam.
No,
If,
he's
Vinam.
asking Vinam.
yeah,
Oh,
of course.
okay.
Yeah.
No,
We know you were paying attention.
Yeah. I know you are distracted by something else.
Yeah. No, I think the distraction is a new piece of technology. That's it. I was just trying to experiment and learn. I think, look, that's like crazy, man. I just can't hear anything apart from you guys talking now. Fan is running, kids are shouting. I just can't hear anything, literally.
Oh, great. We also couldn't hear the kids this time, man.
Maybe the microphone is so great. I don't know, whatever.
It's not picking up the ambient noise.
Yeah, that's like crazy. So,
all right. What is this ad, man? I don't even know what this Rahul Dravid ad is.
This
so
is
out of touch.
Yeah, this is for the IPL, right? They published an ad. This is by Cred, and it's just going viral all over the place.
Oh, nice. Okay,
and it has a very strong personality like Dravid, who's not known to do this kind of gundagiri, and in the ad he's doing gundagardi, literally, and behaving like a baro nodkotini, orag baro, that kind of stuff, right? This is like craziness in some sense, yeah. So that's the reason, I think it's kind of gone crazy, yeah. Hey, Vinam, I'm next in the Cred ad, by the way. Next on the Cred ad, exact opposite way. Whatever I do that.
Vinam, don't encourage this behavior, okay? What looks bad?
Okay.
Do you see a special shine on Karthik's face today?
Oh God, I thought you were gonna skip that.
Yeah. Like I said, now the small device is making me, and Karthik has a special shine today.
Yeah.
Guess why? Yeah.
An extra something.
Yeah. You should know that, Karthik.
This is my first episode with the I don't know what is it called, shine light or something.
No, I call these I call these the Chinese ring lights.
Ring light, the Chinese.
Ring light.
I don't think this is made in China, by the way.
Oh gosh. Anyway, awesome guys. No. I invited Vinam. He didn't come. That's over. I'm not inviting him again. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Hey guys, this is made in India, but not that. Okay, let's pause that topic. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is Chinese. This is China made only. Yeah.
Okay, time for Friday evening. So what caught your eye? And let's just get this over with after. We have started goofing around after a great conversation.
Yeah, too much of goofing around. Look, what caught my eyes are very simple, guys. I'll show it to people. So this caught my eye. Okay. This week, Rahul Dravid's ad in the last 2 hours, and who's the next unicorn? Tomorrow morning, what's the unicorn? And Tiger is back. It's not just back; it's roaring.
Back with a bang.
Back with a roar.
So back with the roar. If 2010, right, or 2011 Flipkart's change is because of Tiger, I think, look, before that, VCs were, somewhat docile creatures. Okay, before Tiger arrived uh, in 2011, and that's kind of what spurred the entire ecosystem, right? And Tiger is, I mean, somebody was putting it on Twitter saying Tiger is the Santa Claus of the Indian startup ecosystem. I think absolutely no doubt, right? If it's 2010 Tiger and today 2021 Tiger is even bigger Santa Claus or whatever that is, right? I think now we are leaping, one more leap from
There
here.
is a GIF going around on Twitter that Sequoia and Tiger together on unicorn hunt.
Yeah, I think this is great for the ecosystem again. Tiger being roaring. Yeah, people may have saying, how is unicorns happening? How are unicorns being birthed? All those questions will be there. But we've seen this before, right? Flipkart, it's always been good for the ecosystem.
Also special mention to Nisho, which raised from SoftBank's Vision Fund 2, the smaller $10 billion fund. I think, is it the first investment from the second fund in India?
I think there may be, I'm not sure, Karthik, but there could be a few, I feel. But yeah, look, SoftBank will make money. Yeah. They made money everywhere, right? Even the Uber is going down or WeWork is going down for whatever joy. They're going to make money because they've invested in so many companies, right? Something or other.
Yeah.
So
But I think the prediction is, once the pandemic sort of comes to an eventual end, God knows when, I think WeWork is in a much better situation now to capitalize on that.
Absolutely.
So it will definitely, be a winner. All things said and done for SoftBank, with all the drama.
Yeah. In a hybrid world, in somewhat, I think, WeWork has a great place to play. I think that's all, Carter, right? But I just want to tell people, here we've done a bunch of investments. We are not able to make announcements yet. Keep watching. We've closed the financial year with a big numbers. Hopefully, we want to announce, but I think it's going to take us some more time. But do watch out, and we should be looking at a year also shortly. That's also going to be some interesting stuff. Hopefully.
Yeah, I think we can let out the number. We'll have to tally it, but about close to 10 investments are completed, and then we have 4 to 5 in various stages of paperwork sort of thing, right? Or maybe towards the end of the transaction or something. So, and we're trying to keep up the pace this year. We have our sleeves rolled up, ready to run.
Yeah, guys. Okay, great, Karthik. Vinam, yes, we will all work. We are working very hard. And Vinam has jumped jobs. He's jumped to a startup also from Karthik. I don't know if you know this.
I know that. Nice. Way to go, Vinam.
Yeah. He's gone into a startup via X Times internet thing, and Vinam is discovering and rolling up his sleeves also into the startup world, which is interesting.
Yes. Get your hands dirty. Nice. Way to go. All right, so this is pretty much it for this week.
Karthik, I have to go catch the IPL inaugural match. I think we should wind it up.
Go run.
And I want to eat some pani puri also. So this is a great prevailing session. I am going for pani puri and for a cricket match now.
Fantastic. All right. Guys, we'll see you again next week. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye, Vinam.